Right, yeah. After a fair amount of experimentation, I think this has probably taken me about a week all in all. I've managed eventually to get some new bits working in UDK as part of Rabbit Heart. First thing being, we've got our own custom game class here. Now, if I enter into this, I've created a custom game script file, the custom pawn, and the custom player controller. Now there's a setup here for the camera and the HUD, but as they have not been actually hard coded in yet, there's nothing. I can open this and show you there's nothing in there. This default properties entry here is completely empty. As for Rabbit Heart game, this is what we're going on here. Default properties, the player controller class we've set up to read the custom player controller, which is set up in here. You just see that in the background. Okay, I've told it the default pawn class will be my default pawn, which is here, and again for the HUD, which is here. Okay, that's all you need in your custom game class. Now if we go into this one, this is quite a little bit larger. I won't run through all this. It's just a visual mainly to say, you know, we've got some bits and bobs working. I suppose the most important bit in this actual script file is these 4 lines here. This is telling it that the skeletal mesh it'll use is the custom mesh that I've got in UDK. The animation tree it'll use is the custom one built in UDK. The physics asset is the custom physics I applied to my character in UDK, and the anim set, which is down here, again custom direct in UDK. And finally, I'll open the player controller class, which is pretty much all commented out, but is there ready to go. Right, now that that's done, I also in UDK game config default engine, in here I have added an extra package which is RH game, which is basically referencing this folder here. It's saying, yeah, look, you can use this folder here. Also, if I can find this quick enough, oh no, it's not in that one, sorry, my mistake. It's in where are we? It's in default game. Okay, if I scroll down here, I think it's where on this part we have got no, I've gone past that. This is basically where you tell it what default maps. Here we go, UT3 game modes. This is the line. So I've added my own game mode in here. Okay, so it's all set and ready to go. So we're telling it when in the list when you launch up UDK, there'll be a new game mode called RH game. I'll show you that in a moment. When you select it, the default map it'll load will be a default map I've created, which is just a menu test class at the moment. Okay, so with that done, I shall just quickly open up the UDK editor and just show you a few of the little bits I've implemented, because I've been doing a fair amount and just not updating things on the blog quite often, which, you know, my partner in crime tells me off for quite a lot, understandably, but just load up our package. Okay, now in here you've got skeletal meshes, which is our little character girl here. It is Lulu, for those of you who haven't met her before. I've been using various different types of software. She was actually modelled in Blender, which is an open source 3D modelling application. Then from Blender, I exported her out and brought her into 3ds Max, and built a full skeletal rig for her in 3ds Max using the cat rigging system, which I will actually just open up in the background while we're going through this. Oh, I'm still on my trial version, aren't I? Hold on a moment, sorry. Need to get that registered. Now, we have also created animations for her. I'm not the best animator, so don't criticise me with these too much, but our custom mesh setup here and the animation set. Each one of these animations, because I'm using the latest version of 3ds Max, which is 2012 or 2012, they don't support the ActorX plugin anymore, and things need to be exported primarily as FBX files. This isn't an issue for any of you out there who are wondering, well, am I supposed to do it without ActorX? Because you can't split the animations using an FBX export. You don't do it that way. You'd create your base mesh and rig, set up and save that out. Okay. Then you'll create your first animation, save out that animation as an FBX format or export it as FBX. Then you go back to your original version, which is unanimated, and create another animation, export that out. And you keep repeating this process until you've got all of the animations you need, and you can just go up to File and import FBX animation. And you can even select a full list once you do that of these animations, or bring them in one by one to test each one of them. But for now, I'm just going to quickly run you through some of these. So we'll go with the idle animation first. So there's not much happening there, she's just stood around waiting. You can see there's a little slight amount of movement there. Okay. We've got our run animation. Okay. I've made her a run right animation, which is kind of a little hop to the right. A complete mirrored opposite of that, so she's going over to the left. And finally, we've got one of her running backwards. Okay. I know they're not brilliant, but I'm not an animator, so you have to bear with me on that. Okay. I've then created an anim tree. Only a small simple one just to blend all these things together. So we have our animation node, blend node, we've got the idle run direct into the idle linkage, and we've got a blend directional, which means basically if we're getting it to go in whatever direction, forwards, left, backwards, right, we select the animation we want linked to each of those, and it'll blend in between them. So if you're pushing diagonal, it'll blend the two together. Okay, and this is put into the moving connector. From there, I've also created a physics asset for the character, which is we'll have a quick look at. This is the first time I've attempted this, not something I've ever done before, but this will basically create helps define the physics for your character. So if I just press the play button up here, you'll see she'll collapse. Stop that, we'll play once more. Okay. We don't need to see anything else in there, so I'm going to shut this down. I'll just show you in 3ds Max. Okay, this is the rig setup for the character. Basically, I've followed a tutorial on the internet, thanks to some clever little gentleman. Sorry, distracted there with a text message. This rig. Yeah, I followed this tutorial or set of tutorials online for using the cat rig to create a custom rig for a character for use in UDK. I'll put a link to these videos in the description. I wouldn't have been able to get this far if it weren't for the help of the gentleman who ran us through those tutorials. I forget what his name is off the top of my head, but I owe him a great deal of gratitude in regards to this. So this is the character built with the UDK rig, the cat rig, sorry. Okay, in 3ds Max, I'm going to shut that down. And now, finally, we will open UDK game. That may come across a little bit loud, I do apologise. Let's see if I can just drop the volume down. Okay, now if we go up to instant action, game mode, we now have an RH game in there, which, as I pointed out earlier on, in my folder system, UDK development source, it's this RH game. It's now picking up to run. So when we select this option, RH game, it'll run the files within this folder. Okay, so select RH game. I'll just go straight to start game. I'll implement playing around with the custom menu. So we'll go to start game. We've managed to get our custom name, which is cave test map, in the go. I'm just going to escape out of there. No, but I'll carry on with this. There's our character. She's playing her own idle animation, built with a custom rig. Okay, not the bones used in the rig are just got the standard default names. I had to change a couple on the span because they had the same linkage name. But aside from that, every name, they're completely different and unique. She's got a custom run animation for forwards, the custom one going backwards, to the left, to the right, and now I'm going to actually go for a walk in a level. We can actually, it's nice now because we can actually see the scale, and I do think, you know, in my previous video I said I think this door was a little bit too small and it needs to be bigger. I'd probably say, if anything, now it maybe needs to be a little bit smaller. Things are working out though, everything's coming together. We have our custom stair set in place, as which you can see are absolutely huge, and they are meant to be. The collision box on the stairs could probably do with a little bit more work, but I don't think it's looking too bad really. We've got the two different depth and height stair setup going on. I'm not sure how quickly I can get there, but oh yeah, one other thing. Previously I had some issues with my character bouncing repeatedly on the floor as I was running through this cave section. I think that was due to the size of the cave itself. I actually used polygon detection collision in UDK, and this seemed to cause the character to bounce whenever she was running on the floor. Do you know, I've not seen, sorry, the shading on the character at the minute in here looks very nice. Yeah, that's normal. It's just with that reflection, blue reflection off the floor. Yeah, as I was saying, the character bouncing around was caused by the polygon collision that I'd set up on the cave. So what I've done is I went back into my 3D modelling program, stripped off the bottom section of the cave, so all the terrain you walk on, in effect, and just completely removed that, brought it back into UDK, and actually used the terrain editor, and created the terrain with a little bit of a height map based thing going on, and that's roughly whereabouts we're up to at the minute. I'm just going to try and get up to this cave, and we're going to see. I've also been playing around with some materials in the cave section where the water pool is. Now it's not finished because also I'm not, the best artist in the world, but I am getting there, and I've just been playing around with this material for the fluid to see how things are going, to try and work out if I can get the inner part of a cave to actually reflect up onto, or reflect down, sorry, onto the water. It seems to have worked quite well. I'm not too sure about the overall finish, but I think it's better than having it perfectly clear or just muddy and murky. We have some extra shadows coming in here, which I'm not sure what they're created by, but that's quite interesting. Okay, we're nearly there. There's me just rambling on. Right, yeah, I'll skip this bit. I'll fast forward. Okay, welcome back. Right, we're approaching the area now where I've implemented this material for the fluid. I just thought, I'd pop back on now because as I was running through this cave, I noticed one other thing that I need to slightly adjust, so I thought I'd bring that up for you all. Currently, the character, she's slightly hovering. She's not quite touching the floor. As you can see this when I turn around by the way the shadow of her feet is acting. That's the easiest place to tell. They're not beating up. So I'll get that fixed. She just needs lowering down the editor. Also, I'll remove the HUD, the default HUD that's rendering up in the minimap. That'll be the next challenge, I think. While we get my team member to work on some animations and the creation of our large robot friend. So here's the water material. I think it's a little bit large at the minute. Probably need to reduce some of the values because it's a little bit excessive, but it is actually reflecting the outer cave as well, which seems to work quite nicely. Okay, thanks for watching.